back to my channel. This is the Only Lauren channel. Today I'm going to be doing about me. I think this was viewer requested, not exactly viewer requested, but you know, shout out to an old friend. Her name is Brandy. This is not exactly what she asked for, but it's something like it, so here. So today I'm going to be doing an about me and explain my quantum thinking and my quantum computer and my quantum processes, and let you know that all of everything that's involved with that. And just to add on how I got this, I guess it's going into how I got this thinking process. So I'm just gonna tell you something about me. I grew up traveling around the country. I lived in, like, I don't know, 6 regions, 5 regions, 4 regions or something like that. And I was born in the South, I was raised on the West, I lived on the East, and I frequented the Midwest because my dad lived there. So since both of my parents are Sagittarius, I had visited like 13 states by the time I was 6 months. And growing up with traveling parents is really fun, by the way. Like, you get to do really cool things. Like they'll do stuff like take you out of school in the middle of school to go to like the beach or the museum, or like crazy kooky stuff like that. Just like crazy kooky fun stuff. I have both of my parents' last names to tell you how weird I am. And they are multi-ethnic Black American people, which means, like all Black American people, they have African heritage and other heritage. Maybe the only difference is that they can trace their immediate lineage to the other than African. That's so sad that we don't know our tribes. So sad. When I was little, I couldn't dance on beat, so my mom had to set a day aside for me to explicitly dance on beat. And it was like, you know, I thought it was like, oh, I was like, oh mommy, did you guys learn how to dance on beat? And she was like, no sweetie. And you know, that's just like the most un-African story you can ever hear in your life. And we spent the day learning how to dance to this one song called The Funk by Timbaland from the Dr. Doodle soundtrack. And it was like a realization, because I had always heard that, oh, she dances like a white girl. And I didn't know what that meant. I was a kid. Who would know? Not me. I couldn't read till much later in my life, till like around 6 or 7 or something like that. Like, I was old. So I was in the reading recovery program, and by the time I was done with the reading recovery program, I had surpassed all the other students, my peers, and was reading at middle school level by the time we were done with the program. I later tested for gifted and talented, I think in elementary school or something. When I tested for it, I passed, okay? And mostly all my life, I felt like older adults to adults would tell me how smart I was. And so I guess that's like positive reinforcement to some people, particularly me, I guess, in my mind. In my mind, I'm always supposed to be a smart person, even though my peers really didn't cut for me. So like, I was kind of bullied. And by kind of bullied, I mean I was bullied, which just means that, you know, I didn't have the same social interaction, so my concerns were different than other people's, and it kind of leaves you on the outside looking in. You can kind of go like, oh, that's what's going on. And your problems, the same problems that your peers might have, you're not necessarily gonna have, because you're not accepted. And so my mom wasn't much of a disciplinary when it came to my grades and me studying as such. Like, I just studied because I studied. And if my grades started to slip or whatever, she would just say like, I'm disappointed and you need to get yourself together, and she would just keep it pushing. You know, maybe something would get better, but not too much. And no one was really alarmed because I would test like really high. Like for state testing, I would test really high, and for in-class tests, I would test really high. And that just means, like, when I say state testing, like, I got perfect scores, perfect, consistently, years in a row. And for in-class tests, I would also test really high. I don't think like perfect scores, but I would test like really high for someone who wasn't turning in their homework. And because like I guess I was always really interested in learning, and I always was engaged in discussions with my teachers during school, like they would never fail me, like even though like your girl was not turning in work. Like I guess it really wasn't an option for them. So it was clear that I'm not a dumb child or didn't need to be held back. But the discipline and organization, I guess they say commitment or just turning things in, was what I lacked. I also had like this weird thing where I felt like I had these odd coincidences where I felt like I wasn't smart. Like it would be something that I just read in that moment, or not even like just that moment, but just read or just seen, and it's just a bit of information, no reason to have it, and people would like somehow need that same information, and they would be like, when I like gave it to them and gave them like the reason why, how, and whatever, they would be like, oh my god, Lauren is so smart. And I was just kind of like, I kind of cheated. I didn't know. It just happened. Like, doesn't count. It ain't the same. And it just made me seem like I was smarter than I was. That's what I just felt. Like one time I was reading this book and they were explaining about Gaia, the goddess of earth, and someone was named, I was chilling with some homies and they were talking about a girl named Gaia, and they were like, what does Gaia mean anyway? And I was like, well, it means like the goddess of earth, and I probably knew more about it in that situation than I do now. And they were like, oh my god, she's so smart. But I just read that yesterday. That don't count. So I've been taking these study habits with me into college and whatnot. So your girl learns the information, but I am not a good processor outer of other information. Like it's really hard for me to just sit down and do work. So it's just been harder for me to catch the A's that I know I should have. That's just how they do it in the A. I'm really good at math. I think I'm really good at math. I just generally prefer not to do it because it's so time consuming, and I think it's just the type of math we do. So like right now I'm looking into doing constructivism math and Boolean algebra to move away from the classical sense of doing math, which is linear in a sense. I forgot what they call it. It's when you're trying to prove that something is untrue. Proof by contradiction. That's what it's called. I taught myself calculus because I was determined to learn the essential tools in order to execute physics. So whereas I only took algebra 2 in high school. When I got into college, they wouldn't let me like right into the calculus classes. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna teach myself calculus and then enter into those calculus classes, and it worked. And your girl made it through. And by the way, back to going back to when I was a little girl or whatever, I was a little scientist or whatever. So I would like experiment with my mom's stuff and in her kitchen, and to her dismay, I had buttloads of encyclopedias. Like I think I even had like the Charlie Brown encyclopedia, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I did have it. I just like, I think I only had like 1 or 2 volumes of it. I was a complete literophile. I am still a complete literophile, and I have outstanding library fees, not from mistreating books, not from losing books, but simply from not turning them in when I should, because I love them more than you do, so I should keep them longer. As a kid, I asked for a chemistry kit and I got it. You could like, it came with all these different like materials in it that you could like cut up and stick in water, and then you could see like all the different like germs and stuff on it. I wasn't a big fan of it because I felt like it was fake and I wanted the real thing. I knew it wasn't a real microscope chemistry kit. And I thought I wanted to be a chemist at the time, so you know, why not? Then I asked for a telescope because the thing was science. growing up that I never got. You Know Who You Are. And I memorized all the details about the planets and the stars from the books that I had, and they were just like amazing books and they were great, and I wish I had them to this day. And then in middle school, like I thought I would be like a marine biologist, but then I realized that I was afraid of fish. So they had a program where they brought like teenage girls to college where they could like explore the sciences, and then my teacher was like, do you think you want to be a marine biologist? I was like, yeah, sure. And then I clicked on it, and then once I got there, like you could see like the people who were doing gonna be neurosurgeries or surgeons or neurologists. They had like brains there, like I think they were goat brains or something, and we were passing them by, and then when we got into our room, we had a fish that they passed around to us. And then like all of a sudden I remembered that I was deathly afraid of fish, and I was like, pass, don't bring it near me, thanks. I felt like it was a really black thing to do because I don't think it was any other black people there, but I didn't realize that at the time. So out of high school, I was watching Nova because I was moving away from that Disney Channel crap. Yeah, I watched Disney Channel for a long time, long time. And this physicist had these, I think, energy beams that he was using to manipulate space-time that he believed would provoke time travel. Then I was like, that's it, that's me, that's what I want to do. I want to do time travel. I want to do astrophysics. And when it comes to the etymology or the etymological like sense behind what I do here on this channel, or quantum in my quantum thinking, it just basically stems from the fact that I always notice words have like connections to each other, and I basically tried to ignore them, and I had a tendency to link them when it had to do with like languages. So like when you say the word malicious, I noticed that the word malicious was the same as mal, which means bad in Spanish. And so I would use them and keep them in my brain just in case I hear something, and I'll go like, oh, I know what the basis of that conversation would be. And it wasn't really something that I tried to do, it was just how it was. Like I really tried to avoid it at all costs, because what was the purpose? So basically I have supreme pattern recognition that I usually try to ignore. And upon doing some research, pattern recognition is really important, and I think it's artificial intelligence and machine learning. So like everything I do, I try to learn so I can improve on the knowledge and make it better, and kind of like problem solve on the spot. Like I like to problem solve on the spot. I think it's like really amusing thing to do. And this is basically actually a really bad thing for me, like learning things and not being able to output them, which is why I like doing these videos for you guys. Once you turn things automatic, it essentially becomes more efficient, and then you can get much more work done. So this is basically why I love doing these videos for you guys, because I get to learn output function and becoming better communicator, being better, putting out more efficient, better information, as I mess up my words right now. And since I'm a quantum thinker, I have various unrelated talents. I can like rap or freestyle, rap, like write and freestyle on any topic that is not sex. I often write science related songs, so I've been doing that for like a long time. And physics related songs, they help me remember the information that's pertinent to me. So let me know if you guys want to see some physics rap videos or some science rap videos. I will begrudgingly do it for you if that's what you want to see. I know basic ballet, and I can twerk in African American, Brazilian, and some Nigerian. I can manipulate mathematics to get the answer that I want, meaning though I may not know how to write mathematics, I think about the functions and what the numbers mean in any given situation, and will begin to work on the problem to move it where I want it to go. Because I can imagine I can imagine where the problem starts and I can imagine where it ends. And so since I nebulously know the variables in between, I can fit them and manipulate them and fit them to piece without taking anything or putting anything away. But I do it in such a way you're like, that's wrong, but it's right, honey. I check the solutions. BT dubs, don't do that in school because you will get marks on your homework. I skateboard and I longboard, and I don't care if I get injuries because I want the Russian result. I know a bunch of 60s and 70s music and artists, and I am really into hippie music and folk music. I think this is kind of related to quantum thinking. I'm not sure, but I feel like that's pertinent. I only watch celebrities with the intent on learning life lessons. So like generally I don't care because I feel like those people's lives are those people's lives and I gotta do what I gotta do. But you can learn something really important from it. Like Beyonce taught me, like, you should give yourself a chance before settling with the first person out of your youth. I can write books with unusual stories and textbooks with fully developed characters, which I want to say including textbooks again. And I have one that I have written on dark energy, which is available for purchase, called Quintessence, and it's below in the description box like it is in every video, but I think I forget to tell you guys about it. And lastly, some other quantum thinking property is I can find the root of the problem and give you direction on how to solve it effectively. And this is far as human psychology and sociological problems go. So like I have a video coming up with Black people on how to solve your problems in handling white people, because you need that. So being a quantum thinker is being knowledgeable, comprehending that knowledge, and figuring out how to improve that knowledge. And in this regard, it can make you highly distractible, which is the type of individual, the type of lifestyle that I'm living right now. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, and bye.